Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our latest episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team, where we give you our real take on today's housing market and everything to do with real estate. I'm your host, Maddie Maloney, joined by my co-host,
Joe Sambear.
And today we are so excited to have an amazing guest on our podcast, Jennifer Seguin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So before we dive into some great questions and have a great conversation today, I wanted to go into a little bit about Jennifer. So Jennifer has been selling real estate in the greater Lansing area for more than 29 years after getting her license in 1996. She has been actively involved in new home construction for this entire time period. She has been an associate broker for 22 years and has been selling real estate with Eastbrook Homes since 2008. After moving from New Jersey, where she grew up, Jennifer earned her bachelor's degree from Michigan State University. Upon finishing college, Jennifer and her husband of 33 years chose to settle in DeWitt, Michigan. The area was perfect for raising two daughters, who are now both graduates of Michigan State University as well. Jennifer passionately enjoys selling real estate, helping families plan and design their dream homes. She finds this role in all aspects satisfying and rewarding. Jennifer prides herself on being a knowledgeable professional, yet a very laid-back and genuine person to be around. Jennifer loves getting to know her clients and becoming a trusted member of the team and community. Jennifer, thank you for being on today.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Of course. So the first question that, of course, we love to ask people is, let's start at the very beginning. What originally drew you into real estate? Usually we hear from people, it's not always, your first dream that you wanted to be. Sometimes it is, but tell us your story of how you got into the business.
Well, I did have another career, and it was quite different than real estate. I was a microbiology researcher at Michigan State, and that is not that real estate is not a time-demanding job, but that was, you had to do 24-hour experiments and all of that. So I had to decide where I wanted to go, and with kids, that's kind of hard to do that. So thought about it, got into real estate. I said, I'll try this, and it's the longest I've ever done a career.
That is quite a jump. That might be one of the most
amazing.
dramatic jumps that we have heard about. Do you think that there's any aspects in what you learned with your degree that, maybe help you be a better real estate agent, or anything that you learned in college, like through doing that help you today?
I think in the college atmosphere, it's more meeting people that are different from you and different experiences, and they come to the table with a different set of those experiences that affect how they make decisions. So it's more, learning what is important to them and being able to deliver that for the satisfaction.
Absolutely. I think that when I talk with a lot of people who, didn't choose what they went to school for as their career path, it's still not that they wish that they never went to college, because there's so many great things that you learn from it. You learn how to network, you learn how to deal with people, you learn how to, create that community. And like you said, know what other people's interests are, and that can help in so many different aspects. So that is great to hear that, your background, it may not, be exactly in real estate. I don't know if there's any scientific experiments that you can do, but
well, I know, just working with Jennifer too, you're such a logical thinker, and so I'm sure like that background plays into it. Of usually a lot of times we hear from a customer, and they've worked with a realtor partner, and they're thinking about the first step. When you work with Jennifer, she's already thought through, like, yeah, we're gonna build this house, but I've already have a plan for what's going to happen.
True.
So I think that you do bring that scientific that's a lot of value.
With microbiology, if something is not going with the norm, you find out why, and you
assess.
Fix it. You assess and you fix it.
Yeah.
A solution-based approach, which is much appreciated right now.
Yes.
All right. So what keeps you passionate about real estate today? So you've been doing it for 29 years. So what, is there something in the market that just makes you think, I love what I do?
Every transaction is different. With my attention span, I need it to be different, because if it was repetitive, to me that's just boring.
Yes.
So I like the fact that every deal is different, every person is different, every situation is different, and it's something to, I shouldn't say solve, but a situation to help somebody get in is different every time. And it just makes me think more.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone could ever say that real estate is boring.
No.
Those words do not go together.
Definitely.
Ever.
They shouldn't.
Never. If it is boring, then you may be doing something wrong.
Exactly. And you meet so many people, and that's what I love, is just meeting new people, learning about them, helping them get where they want to go, and feeling a sense of satisfaction because of that.
Absolutely. I think that being in real estate and helping people achieve their home ownership goals is one of the most rewarding things that you can do. This is a time in people's life where they are purchasing and buying, the largest transaction that they'll most likely do in their entire lifetime. It's a lot of worry about that. And us as real estate professionals, as the realtor, as a lender, we can provide so much comfort and reassurance throughout this process. And it's just so rewarding to see them and to get to the closing table and to just see that excitement.
I think the most exciting part for me, and I keep it internal, I can usually see the time when they switch from nervous to I trust you. And I love that. That's the best feeling.
Is there a certain time that you typically see that with people? If we have people listening like, okay, I've been nervous this whole time. When can I expect that
I think
turn?
it's, and sometimes they hear from friends and family, oh, don't trust that realtor. They're only in it for the money, all of that. You have to have those conversations and ask those tough questions and assess for yourself, are they being honest? I'm always honest with my answers because my attitude is, if I'm not the right person for you, I really want you to get the right person. So I like having that conversation with people and answering them honestly. I tell everybody when I get into a house to show them, I say, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to tell you good, bad, ugly. It's your decision to decide if that's important to you or not.
Definitely.
Because what I think is important might not be what they think is important. So I'll tell them everything, and they say they love that. So because then they can decide on their own. And I don't hold back. If it's not a good house, we always start in the basement because we want to check the walls and make sure all of that is sound. Because I say, if we don't like the basement, I don't care what the upstairs looks like. So
that is a great approach. So you say, you tell it as it is, as we know. How else would you describe your style as an agent?
I would say accessible. I mean, I'll drop everything on a weekend and go help somebody if they found a house, especially in this market, because if a good house comes on the market, you got to get out there right away. So I work on their timeline. I work with their schedule of work. I try to make everything during 9 to 5, but that's not real estate. So I have to be willing to work nights and weekends. So I'm laid back about that. I'm accessible. I'm going to say my biggest quality is honesty, because I have told people this is not the house for you, so they can decide on their own, but I'm going to say, I would not buy this. This is a money pit, walk away.
And I can attest to that. Working with Jennifer for years, it's such a wonderful thing to work with a professional person who is transparent, all the qualities you want in an agent, transparent, loyal to the customer. She's not going to say this, but she's laid back, but she'll fight ferociously when
I'm good at that.
Not physically, but she will fight ferociously. It's there, and when it's necessary. And I think customers, you can't fake that. That's why she says the customers, they transition from nervousness to trust, and that can only happen if there's real competence and real truthfulness. And
thank you.
It's you do an amazing job for your customers.
And I think that's definitely something that people have a misunderstanding about. People think that, realtors, they're just trying to get the sale. No, we're trying to, a good realtor like yourself, we're trying to keep your best interests in mind.
Exactly.
That's why you're going to tell them, hey, I know you really want to buy a house and this looks good on the outside, but here's all the issues that I really don't think this is going to be beneficial long term. We're not just looking for the short term goals of, you could get this house, probably maybe for a good price or something, but let's look at the long term picture. Let's make sure that we can keep you successful for a long time.
Right.
And that's our job. So now we know a little bit about, your style. What would you say that your ideal client is? The type of buyer or seller that you absolutely love working with?
I love working with first-time buyers.
Me too.
They've never done it before. They don't really know anything about purchasing, and I feel more important, I guess,
Yes.
because they need this advice. And I enjoy all buyers. I have buyers that have been on their 5th, 6th, 7th house, and that's rewarding as well. They know more about the process. They have different questions to answer. Usually first-time buyers, they don't even know what questions to ask. So that's why I approach it with, let's go down to the basement, because how the house was constructed is one of the most important things. And with my background in construction, that makes doing that part of real estate a lot easier.
That definitely would not be something that I would think of going in and looking at a house at the first time. I want to look at the bedrooms. I want to look at the kitchen. I don't want to go down into the basement just yet. I want to go look at everything else. But that makes so much sense because that the basement, that is where some of the biggest problems can be. That is where the large money problems are going to be that you really need to, that can be the make or break it. Of the transaction.
And I remember telling a buyer once, she goes, I love this house. And I go, this house will fall down. You look at the foundation. You can't live here without bracing the wall, yes, it can be fixed, but now that's going to be your problem when you sell it because other people are going to see it and get nervous. Definitely. So I tell all my buyers, I'm working for your future sale. I want you to make money in this house.
And that's such a great way to go by it. So, first-time home buyers, they are fantastic to work with. It is a little bit challenging now, because I feel like in media, there's just so much negative news about affordability. You can't afford a home. You should just rent. And so we have to combat that a little bit. But that's where we come in as, putting on our other hat in real estate as an educator. We wear many hats in this industry, but we have to come in as an educator and kind of combat and show why some of those social media titles and those articles aren't true and how home ownership can be affordable and how it can be a great process. And so that's just one of the areas that we have to look at with first-time home buyers. So speaking of that, kind of going into, some of the misconceptions, what's one of the things that people misunderstand about what you actually do as a realtor?
Me personally or the industry?
Both.
Me personally, sometimes people come in thinking she just wants the sale. She doesn't really care about us. If people knew how much I cared about them as clients, I wake up in the middle of the night just to say, and write something down, say, I got to get this done for that person. It's just, I'm thinking about it constantly. I haven't learned how to turn that off. And in a way, I don't think I should turn it off. I just have to learn to put it in its right place.
Yes. The organization of all those thoughts together.
Right. Because I feel that they're trusting me with not their lives per se, but their financial lives. They're trusting me.
And I think it's hard for us sometimes as professionals to communicate that we are thinking about them and doing this for them and have their best interests at heart. They can feel it, so that's good.
Right.
They do feel it, but sometimes we don't always let them know. I was up last night thinking the situation, and I know
it sounds weird if you say it.
It does sound weird. Maybe but don't say it like that.
But I know it's
thinking
true
about you all night.
But I know it's true because you'll call me urgently and say, Joe, we need to talk about this because it's on my mind.
Call me now.
Yeah, and so I know that is how you're operating, and that is if you have a good conscience and you are responsible for this big relationship. And with construction, I think it's even harder because you're responsible for this big relationship, not for 25 days, but for 11 months or whatever it is. It's a long.
Exactly.
And
hopefully it's longer than just the construction of a home.
Of course.
It's a forever.
Yeah.
I've had people send me baby announcements. People invite me to their wedding showers, and it's just because it's almost like you're part of their family, their extended family.
Especially when you go through that process.
Yeah.
You are involved in such an important part of people's lives. Usually, as first-time home buyers, maybe it's a couple that's going to be getting married soon. Maybe they're doing their move-up house as they're expanding their family. This is one of the great parts of our job is we get to be involved in so many different aspects of people's life. And it's such an honor that you get to be able to do that and provide that comfort and reassurance that, hey, I got your best interests in mind. We'll make sure to get this done if it's right for you. And we'll take that worry away as well. So it's just so rewarding. So now, we've kind of talked about a little bit about first-time home buyers. One thing that we wanted to talk about is, especially with your experience in the real estate market, being in this market for 29 years, you've seen the shifts in the market. You've seen the ups and the downs. What is one of the biggest mistakes in today's market that you are seeing buyers make?
Buying just to buy.
Yes.
Buying a house that doesn't check all their boxes just because they want a house and they want to accomplish that goal. Mm-hmm. So just yesterday, I showed a house to somebody and she was like looking at it and she, I think I can do this. I'm like, think of the things you have to do to this house. And I said, I think you're talking yourself into this house. And if there was more on the market, this would even not even be in the running. A new couple that is engaged engaged to get married. I was showing them a house, and she looked at it, and I said, "What do you think?" And she goes, "I mean, I could live here." And I said, "This is the biggest purchase so far in your life." I said, "I want you to love it." I said, you can live anywhere."
Yes.
I said, "But you need to love this house if you're going to spend this kind of money." So
the one thing we really don't want is for people to have the buyer's remorse. That you get into it, it absolutely is real. And it's like you said, it is very real in this market in a low inventory because we have people that have been looking for a while. Mm-hmm. And it is a little bit tougher right now with not as many homes in the market, but we don't want you to settle.
Right.
And I feel like people may think that that's a weird thing for a realtor to say is, I don't want you to buy this house. It's like, well, I thought your whole job is helping me to buy a house. Well, yes, but we want you to buy the right house at the right time because we see that buyer's remorse later on. And that's something that we don't want you to experience.
Well, and at the same time, even if it was the right decision, buyer's remorse is real and you feel it. Sometimes I have to talk people into don't let that get the better of you because everyone thinks, oh my God, what did I just do? I just bought this house and it's like, no.
That's a natural reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes buyer's remorse is needed and other times it's not.
Yes.
But it's a real thing. I think almost everybody, unless you're on your 5th, 6th house, you think about what did I just do?
Absolutely. So then what advice would you give? Some people are kind of just settling in a low inventory market. What would you give to buyers that are just kind of getting like, all right, I just want to, buy a house at this point. I don't really care. What advice?
Don't buy on emotion. Mm-hmm. This is a business transaction. And yes, it is emotional and you're going to have a lot of emotions, happy, whatever, everything with the house. Put that in a separate camp and go on the business deal until it's yours. Then let the emotion flood. I've seen too many times that buyers buy because they're excited. I love this house, but you're not looking at the negatives. No house is perfect. I mean, new construction, you're going to build it to meet as many boxes as you can. But existing homes, you really have to look at it. And
absolutely. And it is such an emotional roller coaster when you are looking at homes. And I remember it when trying to buy my first house, trying to put in offers and not getting accepted and, waiting and then getting excited because you have to envision yourself in a home to buy it. But it is a business transaction and you have to treat it as such. And that's what your job is, to kind of remind that, be like, okay, let's take out this. Let's look at, what is this going to do for your future as a financial investment, as your future home. Let's make sure that we're not just making yes, this is perfect home. I want to buy this now and taking those emotions
And
out.
I tell buyers, you could take all your money and put it in the stock market and invest it that way. You don't get to enjoy that money. It's sitting there until you retire, which that's a long time down the road. But you can take this money. It's a different investment that you can enjoy and you can live in and you can make memories and make a home. Until you actually move in, it's a house. Yeah. Once you move in, you make it a home.
That is a great way to put it.
That is a good way to put it.
So one other question is kind of going off of that, but if you could give buyers just one honest, practical, real talk piece of advice going off of that, what would it be?
Don't try to make a square peg fit into a circle.
That's great.
It needs to make sense. And I tell buyers all the time, and they think I'm crazy. when I say you're going to know the feeling. I can't really even describe the feeling, but you're going to know it when you walk into the house that's the right house. And 9 times out of 10, people are like, I have that feeling. I was like, there you go. And they said, that was the best thing you could tell me. She goes, I would have bought 3 other houses before this, but you didn't have that feeling.
Absolutely.
You just know it.
And isn't it amazing how often someone will lose a house and it's kind of an emotional roller coaster, and then the next one was really the right one.
Right.
How often that happens in real estate? It's kind of bizarre actually. That I tell people all the time, it really does happen.
People think it's just a corny way to put it, but I'm like, everything happens for a reason. I had one client who was a daughter of friends of ours. We were looking at houses. She loved the house. I went up north for a weekend. No cell reception, nothing. A house came on the market in the neighborhood that she wanted. She was trying to reach me. She couldn't, unfortunately. When I got home and I got the messages, she said, it's gone. Somebody else bought it. And I was like, and she was so mad at me. I'm sure she didn't talk to me, I don't know, a couple weeks because I went away and all of that. And I was like, everything happens for a reason. And one day you'll understand what that reason is. Maybe it's the next house is better. And it was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months later, she said she was at work. A woman was in the restroom, upset, crying, and she said, are you okay? What's going on? And she goes, I bought this house, and the sewer line from the street to the house was bad. It's going to cost $15,000 to fix it, and I don't have it. Well, my buyer didn't have it either. And she goes, oh my gosh, where do you live? It was the house that I was not in town to show her.
Wow.
And I said, see? Everything happens for a reason. Really, unfortunate for that person. Yeah. I said, but for you, that was not in the cards for you.
What a coincidence. And for her to have that moment of realization of, oh my gosh, I am so happy that did not happen.
Exactly. And that usually is what happens.
Right. And we take the negativity, and sure, nobody wants to take the negativity. I have a client right now that didn't get a house. It was a price war. She's not talking to me right now. I think she'll come around and talk to me because I think she thinks it was my fault that she didn't get it. It's not anyone's fault that you didn't get it. Yeah. It's the seller's decision what offer they're going to take. It's not that your realtor didn't do a good job. It's not that they didn't fight for you. It just wasn't meant to be, And there will be something better. And quite honestly, she was stretching to get into that house. She was way over what her original pre-approval was. And I always tell people, you don't want to be married to your house. Yes, you can get approved for this price, but you still want to go to the movies. You want to order pizza once in a while. You want to have a social life.
Yes.
And if all of your money is going to your mortgage, you're going to sit home and be married to your house. And you don't want that.
That's not successful home ownership. No. It's just living paycheck to paycheck just to pay off your mortgage. We still want you to live. We want you to, have all those amazing experiences, take vacations, have enough to do some great home upgrades so that you can continue loving where you live. And you can't do that if you're completely maxing out your budget.
Right.
And so that's where we come in.
And I know you guys tell buyers all the time, go on your payment. Don't go on what you can get approved for because that doesn't matter.
We don't even
go with your payment.
We truthfully don't even like to talk about it too much. I mean, because they'll say these are our goals and objectives. This is what we want to accomplish. We don't call them back and saying, I know you want a $500,000 house, but you're approved for 1.5. I mean, that does happen.
Let's spend it. No, you don't do that.
So there's no reason to go down that path. We'll say, here's a couple examples. Is this? And then sometimes they'll be surprised. They'll say, well, actually, I think we could go a little higher because or we have to push it down a little bit.
Exactly.
But it really should never be about what you're approved for.
Right. And a lot of buyers come in with that attitude. Yeah. I can buy this.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at your payment. Let's look at your social life. Yeah. What do you want to do?
Absolutely.
And so sometimes it's talking people into a lower price point.
Yeah.
And it's all, again, with their best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
Because we know what can happen if you do buy that higher priced house and then you have that buyer's remorse. So now I wanted to kind of switch gears again into one of your other areas of expertise. You also work closely with new construction as an agent for one of the top builders in Michigan, Eastbrook Homes. So as we now talk about a little bit of new construction, what is one thing that buyers do not fully understand about building a home when they first come to you?
It's not as scary as they think. Don't listen to people who say it's a nightmare, you're going to get divorced if you build a house. None of that is true. It can be true.
I was about to say, it can
if you don't pick the right location, the right builder, so it can be true. But if you have the right person guiding you, then it should not happen.
Absolutely. And I think that definitely, and we know from working with you and from working with Eastbrook for many years, we have so many people that just love the process and they love what you guys do. And that makes it exciting. That's why we love working with Eastbrook and with you, is because you get to make the process exciting and not just something that people dread as they're going through. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. I didn't know that this was happening. You know how to guide them through each step, and with your kind of scientific background, you know how to plan it out and show them everything that's going to happen going forward.
And Eastbrook has been building for over 50 years. I have clients personally who are on their second and third home with Eastbrook.
That says a lot.
That is huge to me because the process was so good, you were willing to go through it again,
Yes.
And Eastbrook has the process down to a T. Now, is there never a problem? That would not be honest. I mean, but how do you solve that problem? How do you approach that problem? That is key. And as long as people feel respected and they're feeling heard, everything can work out.
I think the difference with new construction is it's a very controlled environment.
Yes.
And that's the key. I think what's uncontrolled and you're picking some random builder that you haven't vetted and you don't know, and your agent's not representing you. And I think that's the path that can be very stressful.
Absolutely.
And a little bit risky. I mean, financially and for other reasons. Can you talk, Jennifer, just a little bit about, like, if I was coming to see one of your models or coming out to one of your developments, like what that would, just kind of a few minutes of what that would look like from the beginning and how it is controlled and like what the steps are kind of typically?
So if I were holding an open house that you came to, I'd start in the basement because I teach people how the house is built. I show them the open cell spray foam insulation, all exterior walls. That's huge. Not all builders do that. It's not cheap to do that. They use the engineered floor joists. All builders should be doing that. If they don't use it, it's not that the house is going to fall down. You're just going to end up with squeaks upstairs. So I show them all of that, and I show them how we do it different than other builders. Then I go upstairs and show them the pretty, fluffy stuff, because all of that can change. That's just all cosmetic stuff. It's the structure that is the most important. So then I explain to you how the process works. When we go into contract, you're going to price with me first, no obligation whatsoever. It's just information gathering. If you had just walked into the open house, you didn't come in saying, I want to build a house. You're gathering information so you can make a good decision. So my job is to give you the answers to what you need to feel like you make a good decision. Your decision might be, I'm not going to build. That's fine, because now I did my job and I answered your questions and I didn't put you in a bad spot.
And we took you down that path of what that would look like.
Right. So that's how I go about it, is just educating people on the whole process. Once you go into contract with Eastbrook, we have designers that you work with. We have architects that you work with. It's a one-stop shop because we have everybody in-house that can build the house. We're not like, I used to work for a builder. He's not in he passed away, so that business is not there anymore. But I remember when I built with him, because I worked with him, I built with him, it was, Jennifer, go find your cabinets, go find your flooring, and I was driving all over town. I had 2 little kids, I had a job, I had all of this stuff, and he goes, we need that answer by Tuesday, we need that answer by Friday. So I'm in the flooring place, I can't remember what my cabinets look like, and how do I make that decision? And also they gave me allowances for that stuff. Well, what if I like this kitchen and that's not in my budget? Now your price goes higher. So what Eastbrook does, we go into contract, you go and pick out everything up front. And we call that the soft cycle. You pick everything. You're going to know your final price before we dig the hole.
That's amazing.
That is very calming to people. And the price is not going to change unless they change it. If they say, I want to change this after we're in construction, it's not economically good to do that because it's more expensive to change something later. So we try to get everybody to the point that no changes, because it's in their best interest not to have changes. So we take the time we need to get it the way they want it up front. And then no decisions to be made. You can just watch the house go up.
And what a great process, because then you go in feeling comfortable. You can see everything together. You know, when you go into that creation studio, you can see what everything looks like. They'll have the samples laid out so that you can really start to envision it. And then again, get excited about the process and not have this, oh my gosh, I don't know what it's going to look like. What is the final price going to be? I don't know if I've gotten all of this, like with some builders do, but you have the peace of mind. You can pick everything out. You get all the pricing. And that's such a huge benefit to your clients and to our clients.
And what's nice, you take a cabinet from this room, you go over to the flooring, how does it look?
Yes.
Where my first build was not like that.
And they're spending so much time and resources, those professionals there that have researched the product. They vetted the product. They waited for the product to like see if it succeeds in the marketplace.
Right.
So they're constantly refreshing everything.
Right.
So you don't have to do all that research.
Right. And everything that we have in the studio, we have selected to be in the studio because we're going to get the best value for that. So we use Geldwin windows, for example. Can you go to another brand of window? Sure, we'll do that for you, but now you're going to get custom pricing on that. So it might be $20,000 to go to a different window, because with the number of houses that Eastbrook builds, that's a lot of windows,
like
and we get a better
power,
price with more. So we pass that on to people.
That's incredible.
So right now, I think that in this market, with a little bit of lower inventory, we have some people contemplating whether they should just build. And sometimes that can be a great option, but sometimes building just isn't meant for that couple, and they're just trying to get into a home and, you know, might as well just build. So what advice and how would you guide someone through when they're trying to determine whether they should wait out and continue their search for an existing home, or if it is the best decision for them to build at that time?
So I was working with somebody this week, and that is the exact situation. They were looking at existing homes. They can't find anything. I tell them in our first meeting, you know, you're not obligated to build. I'm going to give you the pricing. Put everything in that pricing that you think you want, because as soon as they think that they're going over their budget, they start holding back. And I said, worst case scenario. I said, everything gets better after you know the worst case scenarios. Put everything in. Then you can pick and choose what you want to take out if you even need to. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 times, people are like, when I tell them the final price, they're like, oh, I didn't know it was that low, you know, because they were anticipating that it was going to go higher. So I tell people to go through that process, then decide, is this something you want to do? But the thing to keep in mind with new construction, you have everything new. You don't have to replace anything. You don't have to clean up anything. You don't have to finish anybody else's unfinished projects. And then you don't have to update anything. It's all new.
Yes.
So you move in, and it's a wonderful feeling. You walk into a clean house, everything is the way you want it. So I tell people that, because in existing, if there's things to be fixed, I say, okay, this is the price. Let's just say we can get it for this. How much is all this going to cost? Can I sell it for you at that price? I said, not that you're going to sell, but within, what if you don't know what's going to happen? A couple of years, you get transferred, you have to go. You're going to ask me to sell it. You're going to be underwater if you had too many fixes. So.
And there's some cost efficiencies like the heating and cooling.
Absolutely.
The energy efficiencies, and even like homeowners insurance is quite a bit less because it's a brand new build. So there's some, you know, obviously there's cost, but there's also some benefits with new construction from a savings perspective.
My home now with Eastbrook, I built with my other builder. He was a great builder, energy efficient at the time. I built a house with Eastbrook that was a lot larger because my mother was moving in with us. So I set it up for her to be in there. So she was 90. Yeah, I mean, heaters were on and all that. And I go in her room, it's 85 degrees, and you know. So, but my bills came, and I keep records of all the bills that I pay. I went back to when I was in the old house. This house was a lot larger. My bills were the same or lower.
Wow.
And that's with the electric heaters going and all of that we really didn't need to have going. It has to be that open cell spray foam and zoned heating if you have a 2-story, because your furnace is working too hard
for the halls.
Well, your air conditioner is working too hard to cool that upstairs if you don't have zoned heating. So you make your money back on a lot of these high efficiency products.
You're selling us on new construction.
I know. I'm like, oh, maybe I want to build again. Having a brand new home that you don't have to clean, and like that is just, you know, everything works properly. That's just a dream. But I think that you are really hitting one of the misconceptions with people when they're building a new home is that you start to get into the process, you know, you're kind of trapped. You're like, all right, I need to build then. And if I start doing this, then I have to continue moving forward with it. When you really don't. If you get with a great realtor like you and an agent for Eastbrook, you can walk through the process. You can get all the prices, and then you can still make your decision.
Absolutely.
There's absolutely no obligation to move forward, and you're going to help them decide. Like, you don't want them to build, just like how you don't want them to buy a house if it's not meant to be and it's not meant for them.
And honestly, when I take that approach with people, because it's how I believe I should take the approach, you get more business because they tell their friends. I didn't feel pressure.
Yes.
I didn't feel this. She gave me information, because you're in the information gathering stage. Don't throw yourself into the decision phase when you're not even through the information gathering stage.
So wise.
So
very important stage. And I think that's very reassuring for some people to hear, like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe I can, just start to look and seeing, is this going to be a possibility for me? And maybe it's not a possibility or something in the budget right now, but maybe I can finally start getting some of the pricing, and then we can start looking at the financing and saying, okay, I do want to be here. I know that my family is growing. I'd love to be there in 2 to 3 years. Right. Now let's set up the plan of, what do I need to do? What do I need to do with my finances? What down payment do I need to be saving? Absolutely. Do I need to work on my credit then at that point? And that's a great conversation to start having now, not, oh my gosh, I need to get a new house like today. What can I do now? Because then you're going to be rushing. Right. And that's never a great process then. You're not going to be making, the right decisions. You're not going to be in the right headspace. We want to be able to help you make those decisions and have enough time for you to really process it.
Right. A good example of that, Joe helped with a loan for this person that wanted to build. We went down the road. We priced out the house, everything. They wanted a house so bad. They were ignoring the roadblocks that I believe are put in front of you for a reason. And they overcame each roadblock. Well, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, we can do that. You're in the flood zone. All right, how much is flooding? I can do that. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling good about that. I can't sleep at night because I can see they want to make a decision that is not in their best interest. So they were the age of my kids. And so I said to this person, I said, can I give you some tough love advice? And he goes, please, I don't know what to do. And I said, now is not the time to build. I said, every roadblock you're trying to overcome, you're ignoring the signs. Call it angels, call it someone looking out for you, call it anything. They're trying to make you stop. But we have free will, and you can ignore those signs. So they said, but we want this. I said, you have a house. You don't need to build right now. You're not in a position that you have to. So just wait. Take a step back. You'll know when the right situation comes along. Well, then Thomas Farms came along. It wasn't there before that. Thomas Farms came along, and we had incentives to get people to go get started because of this new subdivision. Joe took that incentive and set it up as a buy down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he had 3 years. Everything was going in his favor. And he goes, this is such a different experience. I said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't make something happen. The right decision is when it comes to you.
Absolutely.
And that, because when Thomas Farms opened, then I said, this might be, let's explore it again. And it was a year and a half later, maybe.
Yeah, that was true. And the buy down was perfect because
they were so happy.
They were in such a unique situation because they're upgrading their house dramatically, and their wages were set to both wages. They knew, just based on their profession, their wages going up dramatically. So their payment kind of just transitioned appropriately with their income, and it worked out really well, actually.
Yeah, it was a wonderful.
It's a good segue to Thomas Farms.
I know. I was going to say that's perfect for our next part. So you are representing homes in Thomas Farms, the Eastbrook community, which is held in DeWitt, and also Bonnie Meadows in Hazlet. So can you tell us a little bit about the differences in these communities, and maybe if someone's looking at buying, what type of client is going to be best suited for Thomas Farms maybe than Bonnie Meadows?
It goes back to that price point, and don't overbuy. At this time, everything should be in steps if you're going to make the right decision. So Thomas Farms, your price point is probably, we might be able to do the smaller houses around 4, but that's kind of hard, 400,000. But we can, and you can build a base house and change all that other stuff later. You can do that, and we've had some buyers do that. So let's say for what most people put into a house. Maybe not everything, but the things that they want to change. Because I tell everybody, don't skimp on structural, because you can't change that later. So just do that. Put in lesser carpet now, because you can change that. But don't bump out this, don't not bump out this wall to make this room bigger, because that, you're stuck with it forever. Not forever, but until you sell.
Yes.
So that price point, I'm going to say realistically, the average price point in Thomas Farms is $450 on the low end, but it can go up to $600-$700 in there.
For single family.
And it's single family. There's also a condo section, but on single family, that's about what it is. We have 4 lots left, I think, so until the next phase comes. So there's going to be another phase. Some of those lots are going to be a little bit larger. So it's just going to flow right so nicely into that. We also have a condo section, some freestanding, some duplex condos. Lots are already determined if they're a single family, a freestanding condo or a duplex. So for sale in there right now, we have a duplex that is not even started, so they can decide what plan they want. And we have a couple where somebody bought one side of the duplex and the other side is available now. The freestanding, no lots in there left for that. In the next phase, we're going to have townhouses. So that's great in an area where people want to stay, because it's a wonderful community. They want to stay, but they don't have the price point to do the single family. It's perfect. So that's what Thomas Farms is. Bonnie Meadows, the smallest lot in there is 0.9 acres. It goes up to 4 acres, I think was the biggest one. There's ponds. It's like a nature preserve out there. I'm going to say your price point in there on the low end is a little over 6, and then we're up to 1.2. So it's a wonderful community, walkable community. It's Hazlitt Schools, Bath Township taxes. So
Huge
you
plus.
still get Hazlitt Schools.
Yeah.
So it's nice that your taxes will be lower and you're still close to everything, but you feel like you're up north.
And you can tell when it's a great community when someone wants to sell their new house and buy another new house in the same community. Then you know it's a good community.
There's only those 2 phases, and we have people rebuilding from phase 1 to phase 2.
Yeah.
That definitely
It says a lot about the builder, about Jennifer, and about that development.
Because phase 1 was only 11 lots.
Yeah.
So
do you see a certain type of buyer gravitating towards one community and like a certain type of buyer looking at the other community? If you do have, maybe it's a new married couple and they're just kind of starting out their careers, would they be more looking at Thomas Farms? And like, who's your ideal clientele then for Bonnie Meadows? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they're both great school districts.
Yes.
So that's always a driving force in real estate. But they're both great school districts. Because of the price point, we might have more first-time buyers in Thomas Farms. But by all means, it's not only first-time buyers.
Yes.
And we have people that are retired that are moving in there, and they own 3 homes. They're just, I don't want that big house anymore. I'd like just a ranch to live in, age and place in this house. So nothing is set on those age limits or income limits. Bonnie Meadows, with its price point, I have had first-time buyers over there, but not as many. It's usually somebody that says, I'm building my dream house.
Like a move-up buyer.
Yeah. And I want my dream house, and this is what I want. We're going to stay here until we can't stay here anymore. So that's really what it is.
It's amazing.
So, we've talked a little bit about the new communities being built by Eastbrook. One thing that I wanted to hit on is that if someone is thinking about building their new home, what are some of the questions, or what should the buyers be looking for in any builder when considering new construction, and what sets Eastbrook apart? I know you kind of talked about, starting in the basement, looking at how it's built, but how would you phrase that question and that answer to them then?
That what sets Eastbrook apart?
Yes.
More house for the money. So now that I have worked for a custom builder before, some builders, my attitude is, if you have to say something bad about another builder, then you don't have the position to say that you're the best. So let people figure it out, go to open houses. How do you feel in that house? Can you hear squeaks? Does it feel more solid? Eastbrook houses are solid. On the realm of builders, you have production builders You have custom builders, and then you have Eastbrook. So the production builders, you don't have a lot of choice in things. You can pick from these 3 colors. You can't bump out walls. That's just how it is.
Quick construction.
Right. They just want to get
times.
it done, and they want it to go fast, and that's how they make their money. Custom builders, it's slower, but it is a custom house, and everything is exactly the way you want it, unique for you. Or not always unique for you, but exactly how you want it. Eastbrook's right in the middle there. We're not a custom builder. We're not going to have you bring a floor plan and we say, yes, we can build it. But we're not production either. We are a semi-custom builder. So you start with one of our floor plans. Change it any way you want. I added a whole nother suite for my mother on the first floor. They can do all of that. But for that custom pricing, that's the only part of the house that you're paying custom prices for. So the rest is efficient. We've done it over and over again, and you get the better value for
and
it.
you really do have a family and an owner, a founder
Absolutely.
who cares, who actually cares about like that family.
Yes.
And making sure his name is on it, the quality is to his, and they've met their goals. They
Right.
really, I mean, like you said, no one's perfect, but it's how you respond and
Absolutely.
address
And
things.
Eastbrook, I'm forever proud to work for Eastbrook because they do the right thing when they solve a problem.
That's right.
They're not going to take the shortcut. There is something that happened with this cold weather and all of that. The right thing to do is take out this concrete wall. It moved because of the frozen ground and all of that. Take it out. There was a cheaper way to fix it. And you could shore up that wall, have it move back, and frame up the house and have the framing hold the foundation in place. Eastbrook's decision was take it out and start over. That's expensive.
That tells you a lot.
That is expensive. That's going to be, I'm going to estimate here, but $30,000.
Yeah.
They don't put that on the buyer.
That might be their I mean, they might lose
Right.
a lot of profit on the house.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It is what it is.
But they did the right
Yeah.
thing because they are not going to let a family move into a house that wasn't built properly. And that makes me very proud to work for them. And then I can because I think when you're talking to buyers, if you're not honest and you're kind of doing canned answers to make them make the decision to go with you, they can read that.
Yes.
I can honestly say, I'm proud to work for Eastbrook, more house for the money, and they do the right thing. And that shows with the houses. We had somebody come in last week and they said, we walked around a neighborhood and there were some people outside and we asked, how was your experience? She goes, every single one of them said, it was great. I would do it again. So I was like,
That
wow.
says a lot. That is awesome.
And so
A
if
great
I tell
testament.
buyers, feel free, go knock on doors without me there. Because I'm confident everybody knows we did the right thing.
Yes.
You know, if something went wrong and they weren't happy about it going wrong, they can't say we didn't do the right thing. I can honestly say that.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much. As we wrap up now, last 2 questions. So if someone feels overwhelmed by the idea of buying or building right now, what would you say directly to them?
I would say take a step back, make a plan as to what your goal is. Every goal, there is a path to get to that goal. But when people feel overwhelmed, they're looking at, wow, that's a big step. You're not hopping from here to here.
Yes.
Let's take little steps along the way. And then everything feels more, it's less overwhelming and it's more logical decision and they feel good about it.
Definitely. All right. So if someone wants to connect with you and start this conversation, whether that be looking at existing homes or maybe starting the process of looking at a new build, what is the best way to reach you?
Probably my cell phone. You can call or text me anytime. If I'm not in a place that I can pick up the phone, I won't. So please leave a message or just shoot me a text. I will get back with you. The one other thing I wanted to say from before, Eastbrook has these subdivisions, but we also build offsite. That is land that Eastbrook doesn't own, and I can help you find that land. And then we will build a house on that land for you. So that's
a good
another
point. Yeah,
option
that's a
for
great
people.
point, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so yeah, my cell phone is best, and that phone number is 517-420-1272.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, hear a little bit about your experience, but then also get into the Eastbrook Homes and communities and all the benefits that you can also build a new home, but all the great things about existing homes and that process as well. So Thank you again,
Thank
Jennifer.
you for having me.
We will catch everyone on our next episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team. Thank you so much.